Today our first topic is income from house but will not be considered as income from house property. What does it mean? It means income derived from a house, but that income is not considered as income from house property. There are two examples for this head. That is, number one, if any property used by its owner for his own business purpose. That means owner of the property. If the owner of the property started a business on his house, and income received from this business will not be taxable under the head income from house property. It will be taxable under the head income from profits and gains from business and profession. We have discussed it earlier. কি বললাম, এটা হচ্ছে কোনো একটা প্রপার্টি, কোনো একটা গৃহ সম্পত্তির মালিক তিনি নিজে তার বাড়িটিকে, তার গৃহ সম্পত্তিটিকে নিজের ব্যবসার কাজে ব্যবহার করছেন, এবং সেই ব্যবসা থেকে যে আয়টা হচ্ছে, সেই বাড়ি থেকে যে আয়টা হচ্ছে, সেটা কিন্তু এই ইনকাম ফ্রম হাউস প্রপার্টিতে আমরা আনতে পারবো না। সেকেন্ড পয়েন্ট, if any house let out by his owner to his employee who is essential for his business. Now here is another point, that house is let out to a person, so this income is rental income, and this income may charge under the head income from house property. But the person whom the house was let out, that person is an employee of the owner, and that person is essential for his business. So this rental income is also taxable under the head income from business and profession. What does it mean? এটা কি বলতে চাইছি আমরা, যদি কোনো বাড়ির মালিক তার বাড়িটিকে এমন একজন ব্যক্তিকে ভাড়া দেন, যে ব্যক্তি মালিকের ব্যবসার একজন এমপ্লয়ি, এবং সেই ব্যক্তি মালিকের ব্যবসার জন্য খুবই প্রয়োজনীয়, সেক্ষেত্রে ওই ব্যক্তির থেকে প্রাপ্ত ভাড়াও কিন্তু আমরা ইনকাম ফ্রম হাউস প্রপার্টিতে দেখাবো না, এটাও কিন্তু ইনকাম ফ্রম বিজনেস অ্যান্ড প্রফেশনে যাবে। This question is important for your MCQ 1 marks question or 4 marks question, so you have to remember these points. Now our second topic is income from house property which is not at all taxable. মানে ইনকাম ফ্রম হাউস প্রপার্টি কিন্তু সেটা কিন্তু কোনোভাবেই ট্যাক্সেবল নয়, কোনো হেডেই ট্যাক্সেবল নয়। আগে যেটা আমরা করেছি সেটা আমরা দেখেছি ইনকাম ফ্রম হাউস প্রপার্টিতে ট্যাক্সেবল নয়, কিন্তু অন্য কোনো হেডে ট্যাক্সেবল। কিন্তু এখন আমরা যে ইনকামগুলো দেখব, সেই ইনকামগুলো কোনো হেডেই কিন্তু ট্যাক্সেবল নয়। আচ্ছা, ফ্রম দিস পার্ট ইউ হ্যাভ টু রিমেম্বার এনি ফোর, but because question comes from this part as a 4 marks question, that is state 4 incomes from house property which is not at all taxable. I am giving you 7 point, you have to remember 4 point, and you have to remember all the points for MCQs also. Okay, so first point is income from house property situated near the agricultural land and used by the cultivator as his dwelling house or storehouse. This income is called agricultural income. This chapter was in your class 11 syllabus, but for the COVID situation this part was reduced from your syllabus. Now remember that any income, any agricultural income from India is not at all taxable, and here the house property is situated near the agricultural land. Okay, house property must be situated near the agricultural land, and that house is used. What is the use? used by the cultivator who using this house. The person must be cultivator. Person should be cultivator who is cultivating in that agricultural land. He is using the house as his dwelling house or storehouse. He is storing the crops of the agricultural land in that house. These income, that means if the cultivator is a tenant, if a cultivator is a tenant and he is paying rent to the owner, in that case also this is an agricultural income, and agricultural income is not at all taxable. So this income is not taxable. কি বলছি, কোনো একটি গৃহ সম্পত্তি কোথায় অবস্থিত? কোনো একটি এগ্রিকালচারাল ল্যান্ডের কাছে অবস্থিত, এবং এই গৃহ সম্পত্তিটি কীভাবে ব্যবহার করা হচ্ছে? কৃষক, কাল্টিভেটর, কৃষক এই গৃহ সম্পত্তিটিকে তার ডোয়েলিং হাউস বা স্টোর হাউস হিসেবে ব্যবহার করছে। সেক্ষেত্রে এই আয়টাকে আমরা বলবো এগ্রিকালচারাল ইনকাম, কৃষি আয়। এবং কৃষি আয়, ভারতের কোনো জমি থেকে যে কৃষি আয় উদ্ভূত হয় সেটা কিন্তু কখনোই ট্যাক্সেবল নয়। সুতরাং এই ইনকামটাও ট্যাক্সেবল নয়। পয়েন্ট নাম্বার 2, income from house property held in trust wholly for charitable or religious purpose. That means there is a house property. This house property held by any trust, and this trust is wholly for charitable or religious purpose. In that case, income from that house property is not taxable at all. Number 3, property income of local authority. Who is local authority? You know, local authorities are referred to corporation, just like Kolkata Municipal Corporation. Any municipality, any panchayat, they are local authority. And if they have any house property and property income of that house, that means property income of local authority is not taxable in any head. Number 4, property income of a approved scientific research association. That means if any property income derived by a scientific research association, and that association must be approved, in that case that property income is also non-taxable for in any head. Number 5, property income of any university or any other educational institute for educational purpose. If any property held by any university or any other educational institute and that property is used for educational purpose, in that case that property income is also non-taxable in any head. Number 6, property income of any registered trade union. You know what is trade union? There are some I am mentioning here some registered trade union name, that is AITUC, C2, INTUC. These registered trade union, if these registered trade union have any property and income from that property is non-taxable in any other head. Just like this, house property income of any political party, house property income of any political party, that is we know Congress, CPM, Trinamool, any political party, if held some property and income derived from that property is non-taxable at all. তাহলে আমাদের কি করতে হবে? আমাদেরকে এখান থেকে অন্তত 4টে মনে রাখতে হবে, কারণ আমাদের কোয়েশ্চেন আসে কিন্তু 4 নম্বরে, সেক্ষেত্রে আমাকে এরকম 4টে এক্সাম্পল দিতে হবে। এছাড়া এমসিকিউ এর জন্যও কিন্তু আমরা এটাকে তৈরি করে রাখবো, কারণ এমসিকিউতেও আমাদের চাওয়া হতে পারে যে এটা প্রপার্টি, এটা ইনকাম ফ্রম হাউস প্রপার্টিতে আসবে না অন্য কোনো হেডে ট্যাক্সেবল হবে। ঠিক আছে, এটা হচ্ছে এই যে টপিক আমরা পেলাম, ইনকাম ফ্রম হাউস প্রপার্টি উইচ ইজ নট অ্যাট অল ট্যাক্সেবল। কোনোভাবেই কোনো আয় খাতেই কিন্তু এই ইনকামগুলো ট্যাক্সেবল হবে না। Today our third topic is income from house property situated in foreign country. This part we have already learned in class 11 in the chapter residential status and incidence of taxation. Here I am giving some example. Suppose we know that in case of incidence of tax, any person, there are 3 types of assessee we know. One is resident and ordinarily resident, other is resident but not ordinarily resident, and number 3 is non-resident. For incidence of tax, that means who will pay tax in India. In that case there are 2 formula. One is income must be accrue or arise in India, or income received in India. If any one is satisfied, in that case that is taxable in India. But in case of resident and ordinarily resident, we know that they have to pay tax for their entire income from any part of world. So first you have to remember whether income accrue or arise, that is in outside India, because house property is situated in foreign country, so that is accrue or arise outside India. Now in case of resident and ordinary resident, he has to pay tax for their all income. So where the house is situated is not important. So in case of resident and ordinary resident, for them this income, that means income from house property situated in foreign country, is taxable in India. But in case of not ordinarily resident and non-resident, for them, if that income received in India, then it will taxable, because the income is accrue or arise outside India, because the house property is situated outside India. So in case the income is received in India, then they are taxable for that income. I am giving some example here. Example 1, house property situated at London, rental income received in a bank there. That means house property situated in London, so income accrue or arise outside India, and rental income received in a bank there. There means in London, so income received in London also, so both are outside India. Now in case of ROR, I have written that accrue or arise in London, received in London also. So in case of ROR, we know they are taxable for their all income. So whether it is accrue or received outside India, for them that is no matter for them, so they are taxable for this income. But in case of RNOR and NR, they are not taxable in India for this income, because this income accrue or arise outside India and received also in outside India. Now example number 2, that is house property situated at Bangladesh and rental income received in a bank account of India. Now here the income accrues or arises outside India, that is in Bangladesh. I have written here income accrue or arise in Bangladesh, and rental income received in a bank account of India, but income received in India. So accrue or arise outside India but received in India. That means this is an Indian income. So all assessees are taxable for this income. So in case of ROR, in case of RNOR, in case of NR, resident and ordinarily resident, resident but not ordinarily resident, and non-resident, all are taxable in India for this income. Now we are close to the practical problem. Here I have given a chart, that is, in case of house property, property used, how the property used, that means nature of use. There are two types of use. First type is let out. Property may let out by the owner. And another type of use is self-occupied. That means property self-occupied by the owner. Now, in case of let out, there are two types of let out. One is residential purpose, that means let out to a person who resides that house. And another is business purpose, that means let out to a person who used that house for his business purpose. And in case of self-occupied, there are two types of use. One is residential purpose, that means owner used his house property for his self-residence. Another type is owner may use his house for his business purpose. Now, there are four types. One is residential purpose, let out property, business purpose, let out property, residential purpose, self-occupied property. These three parts, these income from these three types comes under the head income from house property. But if the house is self-occupied by the owner and house is used by the owner for his business purpose, in that case this income will come to income from business purpose. Now, for the calculation of income from house property, however, our main motto is to calculate income from house property. First, we are learning about the income from house property for a let out house. There are three steps to calculate income from house property. First step is calculation of gross annual value. Okay, first step is calculation of gross annual value. Now we have to know what is the meaning of annual value. We have to know what is the meaning of annual value. I am describing it just after a little bit, after some time. Step 2 is calculation of net annual value. Next step is, after calculation of gross annual value, step 2 is calculation of net annual value. And step 3 is calculation of income from house property. So, your total sums can be divided into three parts. First, you have to ascertain the gross annual value. Second, you have to ascertain the net annual value. And third, you have to calculate the income from house property. First, I am giving the definition of annual value. Annual value, বাংলায় আমরা বলছি বার্ষিক মূল্য. Under section 23, you have to remember this section. Under section 23, annual value describes. Annual value, what is annual value? It refers to expected income from a property on a particular year. Here, particular year means particular previous year. You know what is previous year and what is assessment year. So, a property which earns income in a particular year, and that is a expected income. That expected income is called annual value. কোনো গৃহসম্পত্তির বার্ষিক আয় অর্জনের ক্ষমতাকে, ওই একটা গৃহসম্পত্তি থেকে যে বার্ষিক আয় অর্জন হবে সেই ক্ষমতাকে আমরা গৃহসম্পত্তির বার্ষিক মূল্য বলে থাকি। নাও we have to know about some other definitions also for calculation of annual value, that is gross annual value. So now we are coming to other definitions which will include in calculation of gross annual value. First you have to know that is gross municipal value. I am writing here gross. You may say it municipal value also, because what is gross municipal value and what is net municipal value, we will learn it in our next class. Municipal value বাংলা কি হচ্ছে পৌরমূল্য। Now what is municipal value? For every property, municipality or corporation fixed a value for that property, because there is another tax that is called municipal tax, and that tax levied by the local authority. Local authority means corporation, municipality, panchayat, etc. So municipal value refers to a value fixed by any local authority for the purpose of determining municipal or local tax. Now municipality, those municipalities gives some benefits to the citizen, such as sewage, water. These benefits citizen can get from the municipality. So municipality charge some tax that is called municipal tax, water tax, sewage tax, local tax, etc. So these tax, you have to remember this, these tax is levied on the municipal value, and this value is fixed by the local authority. বাংলায় কি বলছি, আঞ্চলিক কর্তৃপক্ষ মানে কর্পোরেশন, মিউনিসিপ্যালিটি, পঞ্চায়েতেরা দ্বারা নির্ধারিত বার্ষিক মূল্য, যে নির্ধারিত বাড়ির মূল্য, বাড়িটার যে মূল্য নির্ধারণ এই আঞ্চলিক কর্তৃপক্ষ করে থাকে। কিসের জন্য করে থাকে? কারণ আঞ্চলিক কর্তৃপক্ষ বাড়ির উপরে পৌর কর নির্ধারণ করেন। সেই পৌর কর নির্ধারণ করার জন্য যে মূল্যটাকে ধার্য করে থাকে কোনো বাড়ির, তাকে আমরা বলছি বাড়িটির পৌর মূল্য। নেক্সট পয়েন্ট ইজ ফেয়ার রেন্ট। বাংলায় আমরা যাকে বলছি ন্যায্য ভাড়া। হোয়াট ইজ ফেয়ার রেন্ট? সাপোজ আই এম গিভিং অ্যান এক্সাম্পল। সাপোজ in Taltala you have taken a room on a rent of 100 square feet, and your friend is also taken a house of 100 square feet in Sonarpur. Now compare the rent of these two houses. It will not equal, because valuation of Taltala area and valuation of Sonarpur area is not equal. So this is called fair rent. Now come to the definition. What is fair rent means? Fair rent refers to the rent which similar property will fetch at the same or nearby locality. That means we will compare a 100 square feet flat with another 100 square feet flat of same area. That is another 100 square feet flat from same area fetches the rent is called the fair rent. বাংলা কি বলছি, একই অঞ্চলে একই ধরনের গৃহসম্পত্তি থেকে উদ্ভূত ভাড়াকে ন্যায্য ভাড়া বলা হয়। ওকে, নেক্সট পয়েন্ট ইজ স্ট্যান্ডার্ড রেন্ট, যাকে বাংলায় আমরা বলছি মানক ভাড়া। নাও there is a rent fixed by the proper authorities such as state rent control legislation is called standard rent. In case of disputed property means dispute arises between the landlord owner and the tenant. In that case there is a rent control act. In rent control act, the value fixed by this rent control legislation is called standard rent. বাংলায় কি বলছি? স্টেট কন্ট্রোল লেজিসলেশনের নিয়ম অনুসারে যে ভাড়া নির্ধারিত হয় তাকে আমরা মানক ভাড়া বলি। সো ফর ক্যালকুলেশন অফ অ্যানুয়াল ভ্যালু these points are important, that is municipal value, fair rent and standard rent, and you have to know these points because question definitions comes from these point also. Now we are going to how to calculate gross annual value.